Thanks for tuning in to A Better World. I'm your host, Luis Acevedo, and today we have a few interesting things to cover. And uh, some of that has to do with Nikki Haley's recent resignation with as the ambassador to the UN. Um, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez claims that the Electoral College is a shadow of slavery, basically insinuating that it's racist. And Hillary Clinton claims that civility will only happen once the Democrats take back both houses. And lastly, I would share with you guys some things I've been thinking about as far as this Brett Kavanaugh thing and sexual assault cases and how that's playing out in our country today. So, starting off with Nikki Haley's resignation. She today met at the White House and put in her resignation. Apparently, she'll be finishing out the year, but she has resigned, as I stated. Reasons are unknown. However, there are some speculations, whether it be because of recent confusion in communications and things like that. Now, but we don't know for sure why she's resigned yet. And so I know a lot of people are sad to see her go. Some people have even speculated that this could be due to her gearing up a run in 2024. I'm not sure what's going on, but unfortunately we have lost somebody who did very good work at the UN and upholding the American values over there and making it stronger. I mean, she's even pointed out in her announcement today that she had in the Oval Office with Trump that they helped save the UN, I believe, $1.7 billion. So that's huge. So fortunately, we're seeing Nikki Haley go. But that's okay. I'm sure we'll get another good person in there that can do just as good a job, if not better. Now, moving on to a story that's a little more controversial with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's tweet that she sent out October 6th. Basically, it says, it is well past time we eliminate the Electoral College, a shadow of slavery power on America today that undermines our nation as a democratic republic. Now, this right here is completely insane to, for one, contribute the Electoral College's origins coming from slavery. That just is not correct at all. The reasons we did that to start off with is because we didn't think that there would be a system for us to do a popular vote, and plus also it wouldn't be a good thing to do a popular vote either, simply due to the fact that huge populations within this country are rested between the coast. And so majority of the people are on the on coastal areas, so therefore the heartland of America wouldn't have that powerful of a voice if we didn't have the Electoral College. So basically with the Electoral College, it gives every state, it makes people who aspire to become president have to spend time in the heartland of America and not just focused on the most popular states, the most populated states. And so that's why we have the Electoral College. It has nothing to do with racism. However, she's claiming it to be racist. But I guess you can't really expect much when you have somebody who has an economics degree but still claims to be a socialist. That just doesn't make too much sense to me. For one, I'll get on my soapbox here for socialism. I don't really understand why it is a popular thing nowadays, other than the fact that there's emotional appeal to it. It appears that everybody will be better off and that everybody will be treated fairly and will live in this utopia. If we go socialism, people will be in control of the jobs and production, things like that. You know, it sounds good on paper, but once actually implemented, all it is really it's a segue for either a country to go to a communistic state or a fascist state. That's really all it is. The Nazis used socialism to gain prominence through fascism. Stalin, Lenin, they used socialism not Stalin, but Lenin used socialism to eventually create the Soviet Union. And, that was a communistic state. So socialism really isn't that smart because it segues into totalitarian states or authoritarian states. So not that great. But that was her latest tweet claiming that the Electoral College is racist. To me, that's a little insane and completely false. Now, moving on to somebody else from the left who claims that the only way that we can bring civility back into our country is if we elect Democrats. Now, by no means am I saying that we shouldn't elect Democrats. Hell, my personal belief is that you should vote on the individual, not the party. That's the way everybody should vote, in my opinion, is the party's not representing us. The individuals within the party are representing us. And so therefore, we should focus more so on the individuals and what their true values are, regardless if they line up with party values. That should be second to what that person claims to represent. And what they claim they will uphold if elected into office. Well, Hillary Clinton has said live on CNN, I believe yesterday, basically saying the only way to get civility back in America is if Democrats take back the House. Now, like I said, not saying Democrats shouldn't be elected into office. However, to make that claim, you're essentially saying that Republicans are evil people and they are bringing the hysteria that's circling the nation right now, which may be true in part, but what's even more true than that is that Democrats have actually, people on the radical left, have actually done more to basically throw away civility in our nation than the right has. And for example, we have Maxine Waters basically telling people to harass people on Trump's cabinet members, which isn't right at all. If you're really calling for civility and if Democrats are the only way to bring civility, then why are people from your party calling to harass other people that have different political views than you? Also, we have videos yesterday of Antifa, anti-fascist, in Portland directing traffic, complete anarchy over there, looked like, from people just blocking the intersection and forcing cars to go one way. In one instance, this older gentleman driving a Lexus decided to not abide by these rules and went his own way, and then these people in Antifa followed him, chased him down, beat up on his car. And yeah, I mean, this is insane. But apparently, the left is the only way we'll get civility back in the country, according to Hillary Clinton. So, yeah, I just don't see her logic there and how that works. Not only that, but then you're alienating half of the country. You're basically calling half of the country the problem. And how do you, I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons why she lost right there. I mean, simply because of that you are pushing this propaganda that is dividing the country. It's not smart. Now, I'm not saying Trump is any better, but at least we have somebody in there who's willing to go out and fight back and not just take it and brush it off. No, we actually have somebody in there who's going to fight back when somebody needs to stand up for what's true. And right now, he's doing that, and maybe some bad ways, as far as like mocking Dr. Ford. But for the most part, I think that he is defending not just what Republicans believe, but what the American value should be as far as due process, and pointing out the violence that is taking place on the left. And oh yeah, I almost forgot. What about the fact that when Brett Kavanaugh was getting confirmed, there were protesters right outside banging on the Senate doors. They were disruptive when Mike Pence was trying to keep control in the House to make sure that the vote could happen. People kept coming in several times and saying it's a shame or things of that nature, basically just yelling out obscenities just to be heard and try to disrupt what was going on, and thinking that what they were doing was going to stop what was taking place. And so, once again, Hillary Clinton believes that the left is the only way that we can have civility back in here. But right now it looks like the left is the one causing all the disruption in the nation right now. Now, we did away with due process, which leads me into the last thing I want to cover today, which is something that's been weighing heavy on my mind lately, and that is everything that's going on with sexual assaults right now, and the fact that Donald Trump came out, I believe yesterday or 2 days ago, saying it's a scary time to be a man in America because of what's going on. There's no due process, things of that nature. And so today, while I was on Facebook, I actually saw a video from Now This, and it was this girl who was singing very beautifully with a guitar and basically saying, yeah, it's a scary time to be a man, and then she went into all the reasons why it's a scary time to be a woman in America. You know, can't leave your drink unattended at the bar, can't walk to your car alone at night, things of this nature, always fearing of, you know, a potential predator coming at you. Of course, those are real possibilities, and those things do happen every day, and women do have it tougher than men when it comes to being sexually assaulted. Nobody's debating that. Not one single person, and if they are, they're obviously not rational. But two things can be true at once. So yes, it is, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a dangerous time to be a woman in America. I would just say it's more problematic to be a woman in general because men have the potential to being pigs. That's just the truth. However, we also have to recognize that it is a dangerous time right now in America for men simply because of the fact that after this Kavanaugh case, we are willing to do away with due process and say believe the woman at all costs without one shred of evidence to support her claims. Not one person could corroborate her stories. So all these things right here we're supposed to believe without any evidence, doing away with due process, and make him disqualified from being a Supreme Court justice simply based on accusations that couldn't even be proven. That's why Trump said it was scary. Because we were ruining a man's career over something we don't even know if he did. We don't know. Not only that, but I also read an interesting piece in Reason, and it was covering these two college students who ended up hooking up one night, and it was consensual. They were texting beforehand. They were flirting beforehand. I mean, days before this even occurred. And they even went on some kind of date, I believe, together. And as they were making out, things progressed, and he felt her breast, felt her butt. Things anybody would do if you're about to have sex, right? Okay. And the thing is that, mind you, I should back up a little bit. She did initiate this by kissing him, and she, had her arms wrapped around him and touched his butt as well. The only reason I go in this much detail is because this is exactly what Trump was talking about when saying it's a dangerous time to be a man. This woman, this girl, who consented non-verbally. It doesn't have to be a verbal consent. We all know that there are those non-verbal cues that we pass off as humans. Whether we wave, we know that's hello, or it could be goodbye. If we throw up the peace sign, we know what that means. I mean, there's a whole bunch of non-verbal cues that we do as humans, and having sex involves a lot of non-verbal cues as well. Therefore, you can't really consent as you go through the process of getting ready to have intercourse. That's just, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Just ruin the mood. Anyway, I digress. She ended up pressing charges on him from the Title IX, saying that she was sexually assaulted by him, and she didn't consent to have these things done to her. And so this kid had to come up with $16,000 on top of paying for school to get a lawyer and fight this case. Now his name was cleared because after everybody heard her side of the story, which only strengthened his story, which he said basically it was consensual. I didn't do anything she didn't want me to do. That's why Trump said that it's a scary time to be a man, because we have cases where women can falsely accuse a man and totally rip his whole life apart. That's sad, and that's not good. Yes, the Me Too movement has a really good purpose, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. However, I do not agree with the believe the woman at all costs, believe survivors. No, we shouldn't just do that, especially when we're talking about high-profile people, simply because women could just be going after them to get some recognition of who they are, or something of that nature, or just be totally malevolent on their behalf and just want to destroy them for whatever reason. So that's why Trump said that. So two things can be true at once. Yes, women, you all have a tougher time than men when it comes to navigating through this world that we live in, where sex tends to drive everything. So yes, you do have a tougher time because unfortunately you're more vulnerable and susceptible to a stronger, more powerful, dominant being like the man to go over and abuse you. Yes, that's more likely to happen. It's unfortunate. The Me Too movement is working to fix that. However, at the same time, the Me Too movement is leading into a more destructive state, which can truly rip apart the fibers of this country, just tear apart the country at its core, really, because then you just start having witch hunts like this Kavanaugh case was essentially. Now, I mean, that's up for interpretation, I guess, but I believe the evidence that is out there for that case makes a very, 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 very clear statement that this was just a witch hunt. I mean, there was nothing out there. There was no real strong evidence against him. Anyway, so that's what's going on today in the news, and that's my thoughts on this whole sexual assault thing and this Me Too movement. It's a beautiful thing. We should keep doing it, but we should do it properly so that way great things can come of it. Not division. Did you notice that nobody was divided when Harvey Weinstein ended up getting caught? Nobody was divided when Bill Cosby got caught. Nobody was divided when Kevin Spacey said what he did. Nobody. Nobody. So think. This Me Too movement can be used as a political move as well. And that's what we can't allow. So that's the news for today. I hope you all enjoy the way I'm switching this up. If you have any suggestions or recommendations on topics you would like me to cover, just let me know. All right. You all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.